My entire home gym is 13 by 11, 143 square feet. We moved into this house in 2021 and I've slowly upgraded it one piece at a time, mostly doing this through secondhand purchases. This helped me test different pieces of equipment and flip my way into the items that I actually wanted. Today we're going to be going through a home gym tour. I'm going to show you what I have in my setup currently. One thing you'll learn if you're starting a home gym that you're never really finished. I heard people say that, but it's very true and there's always new fun things coming out. We're going to be going through all the items that I've purchased, how I've settled on the items that I currently have. I'm going to tell you some of the biggest mistakes that I made along the way and what I would change if I was starting over. And I'm going to tell you about what I want to upgrade. Let's go ahead and dive into today's video. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Dylan. This is Plates and Profits, where I help you build your home gym for less. The Alibaba clone Rep times Pepin have officially docked in California, meaning it should only be about a week or two until they arrive here. I'm very excited to go over that review. I've also got some dumbbell stands, so as we're going through my gym tour today, you'll see some dumbbells laying around on the ground. Just know that there are stands on the way. So for all things home gym equipment, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and talk about the first purchase that I made for this home gym. Back when we moved in 2021, I was really into powerlifting at the time. So the pinnacle for me, I was thinking I just want a squat rack in my room. Functional trainers weren't really the rage in 2021, so I just wanted a squat rack. So I found myself a fantastic deal on an Ethos power rack. It came with a full set of Olympic weights, 255 pounds. If you remember, 2021 was right in the middle of COVID. Weight prices were kind of crazy. I got that full setup for like 500 bucks and they were willing to come set up the rack for me. I am not the most handy, so that was a much welcomed thing for me. I ended up selling the weights it came with for I think $300. So I paid like 200 bucks for this Ethos squat rack and we agreed on a date for them to come set it up. And this brings me to my first mistake that I made. And a big recommendation is kind of plan ahead when you're building a home gym. For me, I was just thinking I'll have a squat rack in a bedroom. And I was very close-minded with that. But you have to have some kind of gym flooring set up. If you're a part of the Facebook home gym community page, you know horse stall mats are a big recommendation there. They really are a fantastic option. 4x6, 3/4 inch flooring. It's gonna protect your floors. But I was in a pinch and I went and bought some on OfferUp that I found, 2 4x6 mats. Kind of funny, these two are actually not the same. They're different materials and different styles, but they're both 4x6, 3/4 inch thick. So it worked for me at the time. And in talking just about gym flooring, I have slowly upgraded this throughout the time. Everything else was found for free on Facebook or OfferUp. One time I was picking up some other weights. These two primary pieces that you see here were extremely heavy and the guy told me I could take them for free and I couldn't pick them up in my first pickup. And I went back, and if you've never moved like extremely heavy duty gym mats by yourself, just know it is very difficult. It was one of the best workouts I've ever got. I had to stuff them in my wife's SUV, but I'm thankful because here they are and people often comment, they say, these look really nice. And I'm like, I had to work for those. It was very difficult. And then to finish up the rest here, someone who lived on a farm actually was giving away a bunch of horse stall mats. These are not quite 3/4 inch thick. That's what I used to fill in the gaps. It works really well. And now it looks like I planned this out all in advance. I didn't. That would be a big takeaway for me. Go ahead and plan in advance. That is actually a good segue into mistake number 2. When it was time to upgrade my power rack. This wasn't that long ago, probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I wanted to upgrade to a functional trainer. I loved having a home gym. I had just had my firstborn son, and I was always thinking some of the things I was missing out by not going to a gym anymore. And if you're a gym junkie, you know a cable system would be so awesome. So I investigated, did my research. I saw Coop's review on the Fringe Sport Dane, and I also saw Gluck's review on the Fringe Sport Dane. I wish I paid more attention to his, because his was a little more critical. Coop really hyped it up. To me, I love the 1-to-1 ratio on the Dane. I loved the clear coat, and then the price was fantastic. Overall, it's a really solid rack, and that is what I currently have in my gym. Where I would say this is a mistake is this is really kind of a centerpiece of your home gym. So this would be something where I would argue not to go the budget route. If there's a functional trainer or rack that you really want, make sure you're not compromising. Make sure you're getting one that you really want and you believe in. Fringe released an update to the Dane less than a year after I purchased this first one. And I really wish I just waited a bit. Now I think there's so many great options on the market, including the Dane 2.0. I really think it is a solid rack. So don't let me talk you out of that. But essentially the tip is don't go cheap on your functional trainer. And let's talk about the next item in a gym that, especially a small home gym, I think is almost a necessity, and that is adjustable dumbbells. And my adjustable dumbbell journey has taken me on many different paths. The first set I had in my home gym were the Ironmaster Quick Lock adjustable dumbbells, which many consider the best on the market. And I'd say that they're the most durable on the market. And they are fantastic dumbbells, they just aren't for me. And the reason being for that is they are fairly slow to adjust. And I found myself doing other workouts instead of dumbbell work simply because I didn't want to adjust them. And this is where I probably made one of the bigger downgrades I've ever made in my home gym career. I sold my Ironmaster Quick Locks and I used some of the profits to buy a cheap set of Bowflex 1090 adjustable dumbbells. If you follow my channel, you know I hate on the Bowflex 1090s quite a bit. I try not to speak badly of any adjustable dumbbells, and ultimately, if you're using them and you enjoy them, don't let me rain on your parade. They do get the job done. However, I hate the contoured handles. It just doesn't work for me. They're fairly cheap and flimsy. They're a very large and awkward shape, especially once you get up past 55 pounds. Side note, I think the Bowflex 52-pound ones are actually pretty solid, especially you can find them cheap quite a bit on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp. The 1090s though just really kind of missed the mark for me. So go ahead, roast me in the comments. Yes, I sold my Ironmasters and bought Bowflex. Not a great decision. Which ultimately led me to my next selection, which was the Dumbbell 580s, which I think are fantastic adjustable dumbbells. Are they the most durable? No. Do they feel like dumbbells? Yes. Do they adjust lightning quick? Yes. Those are things that are always really satisfying to me, and I really enjoyed those dumbbells. It wasn't until I stumbled upon a listing on Facebook for the PowerBlock Commercial Edition 175s. Now, I know it might shock you, but I actually cannot lift 175 pounds. However, I am someone who loves a good deal, and these were selling for $500. Retail price is like $2,300 on these. Don't quote that exactly, I'll post it right up here. And in my head, I'm like, this is more than double what I have with the Dumbbells. And what my logical side would tell me is you're not lifting any more than 80 anyways. Why do you need up to 180? But no, I just couldn't get a 500 bucks. I was like, this is a fantastic deal. I'm gonna get them. And something about them is kind of cool. It's also kind of comical how large they are. It really looks like you have giant toolboxes in your hands. I think if you're like the Mountain on Game of Thrones, great dumbbells. If you're my size, don't talk yourself into them like me. They were really cool. I upgraded the handles. I got the Average Joe Innovations knurled handles, which did make a pretty big difference. Downsides to these dumbbells are they go up in 7.5 pound increments, which is just a bit too much. And again, I was only using less than half the capability. I think I did, up to like 92.5, maybe a handful of times. But for the most part, I was just kidding myself using those dumbbells. So that brought me to my next pair, which was the Rep Times Pep-In. I wasn't fully invested in the home gym lore yet at this point. I was still working in a gym during all of this, so I'd get a lot of my workouts in the gym I worked at. But when the Rep Times Pep-In were announced, I was now no longer working in a gym, working out at home quite a bit more, trying to use those 175s and failing. So when I saw the Rep Times Pep-In get announced, I knew I had seen Coop talk about the original Pep-Ins before, and I always thought those look really cool. So I placed a pre-order for those, and lo and behold, they arrived. I ended up selling the PowerBlock 180s. If you ever see those, just know they're pretty difficult to sell because again, not many people are in the market for 180 pound adjustable dumbbells. But they ended up selling, I think for 1,200 bucks. I paid 200 for those knurled handles, so I paid 700 all in, sold for 1,200. It's a $500 profit, and it had taken so long, 1,200 I paid for my Rep Times Pep-In with those, which was pretty cool. Rep Times Pep-In arrived, and I do love the Rep Times Pep-In. Don't get it twisted. But they are pretty loud during some movements, and the adjustments aren't slow by any means, but having to adjust both sides and having the adder weights, I just didn't think they were the perfect dumbbell for me. So I went on an exploration trying to find the right dumbbells for me. This led me to several different pairs of Alibaba dumbbells, and I've settled on these 5-to-100 Alibaba dumbbells that are basically an updated version of the Dumbbells. And I gotta say, I really love them. I've been using them for a couple months now, really enjoy them. So much so that I even ordered some more and started selling them under this brand, Minor Key Iron. If you're located in Phoenix and those sound interesting to you, reach out to me. Also, watch my full review on them here. I think they're a fantastic dumbbell. And that is the end of my adjustable dumbbell journey for now. Let's go ahead and talk about the next item that is a home gym essential, and that's an adjustable bench. And truthfully, if you had an adjustable bench and adjustable dumbbells, you could do everything you need. Throw on a squat rack, especially functional trainer, and you are set. So the first adjustable bench I had, this is something where I didn't make a mistake. I actually did really well, was the Ironmaster Super Bench. But that was the first bench I had in my home gym. I loved how compact it was in size, super easy to move, and then on top of that, you can use it as several machines in a very compact space. So I got the leg extension, the dip, and the crunch attachment. So basically taking up no space, but giving me 3 additional machines that I didn't have otherwise. Now I started this off by saying I didn't make a mistake, and I'm realizing that I did make a mistake because I ended up selling my Ironmaster Super Bench after having it for several years. But once I got the Fringe Sport Dane in, it was in clear coat. And I stumbled upon a listing on Facebook Marketplace for a Rep Fitness AB5000 Zero Gap clear coat. And even though it matched my rack and it looked really cool, at least I think so, that bench is just far too heavy and big for my compact 143 square foot gym space to be lugging around. I think that bench weighs 140 pounds compared to the 60 pounds that I had with the Ironmaster Super Bench. It was quite a change and just wasn't very fun to move around my small space. So you can imagine my excitement when I saw that the Freak Athlete ABX was announced. Prior to the ABX, I actually ended up selling my Rep Fitness bench, and I found another great deal on the Super Bench. So I had the Super Bench version 2 and a pre-order in for the Freak Athlete ABX. And in my head, I was like, I'll test both of these, decide which one I like. I actually made a whole detailed video about this deliberation, and I ended up keeping my Freak Athlete ABX. And there are some days where I regret that. The Ironmaster Super Bench version 2 is a fantastic bench. I think it's easily in the S tier of benches. For someone who's in a tiny space like mine, it's probably the smarter bench to have. The Freak Athlete ABX is still awesome and it's fairly light, but I do think that Ironmaster is the king for small spaces. So I have the ABX for now. I'm really tempted to try the Apex Tib Bar Guy bench, but I hate that I couldn't use my Ironmaster attachments. I still have my Ironmaster leg extension, which I converted into a cable-driven machine, and I love that I can use that, and I don't really want to sell it and have to upgrade for $400 additional for that Tib Bar Guy bench. Let me know in the comments if you think I should try it. I think it looks like the best bench, and if budget wasn't a concern, that would probably be my recommendation without even trying it. Let's talk about Olympic weights now, and this has also gone through several iterations for me. I've bought several sets of older, beat up, rusted weights and refinished them and painted them. And I particularly liked a deep dish set that I had, and I kept this deep dish set. At least the 45s were deep dish, everything else was just standard cap weights, but it was black and red, matched my ethos rack, and that's what I used for the most part. I also had a few pairs of Ivanko bumper plates, which were really cool, that I've also kept. And eventually, I really wanted to upgrade. I had this idea I was really gonna get back into powerlifting. I wanted some calibrated plates because 1, I think they look awesome, and 2, because they're really slim in profile, which would be great for my space. So I actually have a set of Ivankos, which I still have. I also had a set of Rogue calibrated plates at one point. And then for the past year or so, I had a set of chrome, super rare Ivanko plates, and I actually sold those about a month ago. Sadly, I just wasn't putting them to as much use as I should. They were basically a collector's item, and I made a pretty substantial profit on those. And I think I'm actually going to be purchasing some additional plates from Alibaba with my branding on them. I'll show you what those are gonna look like eventually, but I think those are gonna be really cool. I'm pretty excited for it. And I'll probably sell all the other plates I have. I kind of have a hodgepodge collection at this point, so it'd be nice to have it completely uniform. Maybe make some guesses what kind of plates you think I'd buy. As far as barbells go, I've really cycled through quite a few. I had a Rogue Ohio power bar for quite some time. I have a Rogue Ohio deadlift bar that I bought when I bought a huge collection of gym stuff, and I sold most of it and kept the Rogue deadlift bar, and I basically got paid for keeping that deadlift bar. The same thing goes for this Titan Fitness power barbell. Titan Fitness gets a lot of hate for their quality, but this particular barbell I think is actually really high quality. And then I have a Rogue curl bar and one beater bar, I should mention too. Pretty much anything for what you need. Some other miscellaneous items that I have in my gym, I have the Rep Pegasus seat and then also the Rep drop-in dip attachments. I really want to try the Rogue Velociraptor. I think it's Velociraptor. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I've always wanted to try that, but it's super heavy and I don't think it would fit as nicely as it does in my current storage here. I also got these Rep drop-ins for 40 bucks, so I couldn't go wrong with that. I also got the Pegasus for $250 brand new in the box. I'm telling you guys, if you aren't checking Facebook and OfferUp for good deals on gym equipment, you're really missing out on some fantastic deals. I also have the Mammoth belt squat attachment and the Fringe Kodiak belt squat attachment. I've done reviews. I've done a review on that. I'll probably be selling one of those soon. And that is pretty much a comprehensive look at my home gym. So let's talk about some other mistakes that I've made. First mistake being, make sure you're mapping out your vision from the get-go and essentially getting the flooring you want, get it set up in place before you start your gym. I feel like a lot of people mention that, but it truly is good advice. And if you have some time to plan, definitely check Facebook Marketplace, search for horse stall mats, and they're just going to start popping up on your feed no matter what. Facebook just decides that like this guy likes home gym stuff. If you click on a few things, your algorithm will do the work for you. It happens quite a bit actually, where people are just giving away their gym flooring, whether they're moving or maybe they upgraded to rolled flooring and don't want the horse stall mats anymore. I see it quite a bit. So be sure to do that if you're in the market for that, and just have a plan when you're setting up your gym for flooring. And then I mentioned don't skimp on the functional trainer. And that actually kind of goes for most gym items. Although I will say you don't need to purchase exactly what you need right away. Just be on the lookout for good deals, because I don't like Bowflex 1090s. But if you saw a set for 200 bucks, that's a good deal. Go buy them. You can use those for a while and then resell them. And then you have some profits to invest in the dumbbells you actually want. The next mistake that I wish I would have solved earlier, because it's a pretty easy solution, is getting some storage horns for your functional trainer. When space is a premium, this made such a huge difference, not having a giant weight tree in the middle of my gym. Having the weights tucked away on the side here, it just makes the space feel so much more open. And on the subject of space, that is the next mistake that I made. Sometimes you just have to accept that certain things aren't going to fit in your gym. Throughout the years of me building this, I've had a Peloton in here, which definitely always felt cramped. It was in the corner. At one point it was up against the wall where you're just staring at a wall. Granted, you have the screen there, but it just wasn't great. Was not a great setup at all. And then I had a fold-up treadmill, which in theory sounded really good. I live in Mesa, Arizona. It gets up to 115 in the summer. It's hard to get cardio in. I was thinking I'll do these steps. So it was this rickety folding treadmill that was just a piece of junk. I probably used it under 5 times. So I would just say be realistic with yourself as far as what you'll actually use and if it is worth the space it's going to require. With that, I think that pretty much covers most of the things I wanted to cover in my home gym. I guess I'll talk about some of the flags on my wall. I have a Utah Jazz and Utah Utes flag. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. I went to the University of Utah. And I'm a huge fan. Usually my friends and I travel to an away game every year. And then I recently actually hung up this dartboard. My dad had a dartboard at his house growing up, so I always remember doing that. So I'm kind of just turning this into like a man cave gym. I'm debating a flag here. I want to get your opinion. One, it would be a Shawshank Redemption themed flag, a get busy living, get busy dying, maybe get busy lifting, get busy dying, but I almost think that's too corny. But let me know if you think that's a good idea. I can't decide what kind of the flag would be. I thought maybe just all bricks with one of the bricks removed saying get busy living. I thought that was kind of fun. Or if you guys can't tell, I love music. The Wonder Years is one of my favorite bands. They have a song called Came Out Swingin'. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's great. The Burst in Decay version is incredible too. But a Came Out Swingin' flyer with some boxing gloves, something like that. So either of those, I've got space for one. I also think I'm gonna get a CD player on my wall so I can play some of my CD collection. But go ahead, let me know what you think of all the iterations my gym has been through. What mistakes you think I made. You don't have to tell me about the Bowflex. I know it was a mistake. And let me know what you're excited to see next. Let me know if there's any piece of equipment you'd love to see me review. That's gonna do it for this video. If you've stuck around this whole time, props to you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone for subscribing. I've hit 700 subscribers, which is kind of mind-blowing and awesome to me. Just know that I'm checking that throughout the day and it always makes me smile. Every now and then it goes down, which is kind of a bummer, but it's always cool when I see that go up. So seriously, thank you so much. Don't hesitate to leave a comment. I respond to every single person who's leaving a comment. I'm happy to engage. Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie. Maybe let me know your favorite movie and your favorite album in the comments. I'd love to just get some discourse going. I love chatting. I love communicating. So thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. I'll see y'all next week, and everyone have a great week. Peace.